I would love to have everyone introduce ourselves, but today we actually are doing two presentations, so we're going to be a little more strict on our time here.
Yeah.
And then at the end in our breakout rooms, we can you can introduce yourself there in a smaller group and get to know people a little deeper. So, um, without further ado, gonna hit share. And so, yes, you are at the right classroom today with 1 million claps. Brew some coffee, like us on Facebook, follow our social media so you know the presenter that's coming on for the week. We are here every Wednesday at 9 a.m. We've haven't missed a meeting since lockdown, so this has been super cool to continue building a community around. Definitely sign up for weekly updates at bit.ly/1MC Seattle and stay updated there. So, for those who are new, what are we about? We're here to share ideas. We're here to offer help. We're here to ask for help, build community, and support each other. I know that was a big point of attraction for me as I was starting off my own entrepreneur journey coming from the corporate world is that this is a place, a supportive place for those who don't necessarily know what we're doing all the time. And it was cool to kind of see that level of vulnerability, especially from my perspective growing up. Everybody seemed like they had all their shit together, but it's cool that we can all explore together and really ask for help, right? And admit that what we don't know and be okay asking for it. Um, this is a place for presentations, not pitches, for connecting, not networking. And it's for the community, by the community, being radically and intentionally inclusive. Um, so in the 1MC Nation, we have 168 communities, 3,500 attendees, and 700 volunteers around the country. It's cool to know that this goes on in many cities across America, um, who are seeking education, presentations, and connections. More than 8,000 entrepreneurs have shared their stories on this stage. This is us at the Collective in South Lake Union before lockdown, which we're excited to get back to. For now, virtual has been really great as well. So, do you feel like you have all the answers and know what you're doing? If not, that's okay. We are here to support. And so, um, actually, to this point, if you are looking for support or would love any feedback of what you're doing and to again ask for that help, definitely apply to present, which we'll talk about in a bit. Thank you for our sponsors, Seattle Strong for our coffee, Human Up for our email campaigns, and the Small Studio for our meetup page. And these are our volunteers. It takes a whole tribe to put these on every week, and we're always looking for support. So if you're looking to develop some business skills, um, either social media management, organizational management, project management, um, definitely reach out to one of us, and we can talk about what that means. So, what to expect today? We're gonna have two presentations. We usually only have one, so this will be this will be fun. One presentation of or both actually will be 6-minute presentations and a 20-minute Q&A afterwards, and then towards the end we'll have breakout rooms. Some tips to be during the presentation: um, focus, have focus, limit your distractions, close down tabs, turn off your phone. We want to be able to have presence for the presenter. And as you're listening, listen for what really stands out. What do you want to learn more about? What are you curious about? And where could you share your expertise? How could you apply what you know to help the entrepreneur as well? Um, there is a participants tab on the bottom of your screen. It'll load up the participants, and then you can click on the raise hand feature to queue yourself up for a question. Um, so with that, we will get into our first presentation with Eric Zuckerman on Nerdy Prof. We'll have you take it away.
Okay. I'm sharing my screen. Can you guys see me?
Not yet.
Not yet? Here it comes.
There it is.
Fantastic. Is everyone ready? I'm going to put a timer on so I know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eric. I am the head and solo guy of Nerdy Prof. You can see here's a little agenda for you, but while you're reading that, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a PhD physical chemist, taught chemistry, physics, astronomy for about the last 20 years. Moved to Seattle 18 months ago with my then girlfriend and now wife from the Southeast. So I'm new here and she works at Amazon. So that's who I am. And just like everybody else in the world, I've noticed some things about higher education that seem to be troubling. One thing that you may not know is that 41% of all students drop a course in their first year. And that's even higher for STEM. Those science, technology, or the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics students, they can be, especially in math and chemistry, we're talking upwards of 50 to 60% will drop a course. In addition to that, every time a student withdraws from a course, they drop one or they get a D or an F, there's a lot of problems associated with that. But the most important one for me is that these students get lost and they decide, I've got to move on. I got to find something different, and they change their major. So the reason they came to college is now no longer the reason they're at college. So there's a loss of confidence. And both of these two things right here, this dropping and changing major, cost a lot of money. A lot of money. College is already expensive. This is just added costs. At the same time, instructors and administrators are failing. They're not evolving. They're not looking at the latest research and making strides towards becoming a better teaching environment for these kids. So for me, these two things came to a head about 2012 when I walked down the hallway with a student into my faculty meeting. And here's what I heard. This is a paraphrase, of course, but I got great grades of this when I was in high school. But now your class is kicking my butt. And this is like a chemistry 1 class. And I've heard that 1,000 times. 5 minutes later, I hear this from an instructor. I've been here for 15 years and these students can't follow my lectures. What's going on? And I think there's issues with both of these things. And there's got to be a way to fix them. And I'm going to try to hit up a couple of these so that maybe there's a better world for students and teachers. It's not perfect, but this is my idea of my little single moment of how I might be able to create a product that can help both students and teachers do better. That's Nerdy Prof. And here's what I am and what Nerdy Prof's about. I want to be the kind of resource that both learners and educators count on. Count on for what? That's the thing. I left that, but 3 things. Affordable preparation courses. Students forget stuff over summers. That's a well-known fact. Well, students don't do well in their first classes in college because they have forgotten so much. When they get to me for chemistry, it's normally a year and a half since they've studied chemistry before. No wonder they don't know what's going on. Supplemental materials for both instructors and students. I want students to have some free stuff to go to get some help while they're taking the class. And I want instructors to have materials that they can use so they don't have to recreate the wheel every time they want to do something better. And then a place for sharing their writing and their ideas. So a place where maybe teachers can get together and share what's going on and what's working and what's not working in their classrooms. The way this all works is kind of like this Venn diagram of my world. Nerdy Prof is the name of the company, and College Head Start is a product of that company. Nerdy Prof is about teachers. It's about the educators themselves. There's a blog that's for them. There's going to be material that they can use and access there. There's also going to be some YouTube stuff there for instructors. Now, that YouTube stuff is also going to be useful for students. So that's why it's kind of in the overlap. the same time, College Head Start is just a product, but it's where all the preparation courses are and where there's going to be also a College Head Start blog, which will be geared towards students. Little tutorials so a student can get a real quick answer to a question if they Google and find what they're looking for on my blog there. As a business, it kind of goes like this. Nerdy Prof is not really supposed to make a ton of money for what it does. It's supposed to hopefully break even. It's one of these things where it's for instructors. It's a freemium model. It's social media marketing. This is just a way to create a pipeline so that teachers trust me and my content and want to share it with their students. College Head Start, though, is where I might be able to make some money on this. There's going to be free courses. I've already got one made. And there's going to be paid courses. I'm hoping that the free courses draw students into the paid. I'm hoping that there's going to be pipelines to these courses through YouTube. I already have 80 tutorials up on my own account, and I'll be building more and more as we go along. Through the blog and through university partnerships, I'm really looking forward to talking to some of my old colleagues. They always want to see these kind of little certification courses that will help their students do better in their classes. So that's the business aspect of it, where College Head Start makes the money and Nerdy Prof, on the other hand, is a place that kind of shares. All right, so why would anyone want to take one of my courses? What's the secret sauce? Well, from all of my years of studying how people learn, because that's what I did for my last 13 years of research, was how people learn science, I found out this. Students have forgotten a lot of stuff. So the timing of when they take this College Head Start course is important. It's right before they start their term. It's before class, not while they're in class, before class. And there's nothing on the market. There's not one thing on the market that I can find that does this. It's amazing. A few schools have taken this on themselves, but just for certain classes. The content is going to be course philosophy, prerequisite information, and at first of those few topics you're going to cover when you get to class. And the goal there is make sure that the student's comfortable so that they don't lose faith in the first few weeks, which is when normally they hit a wall and they just get scared. They just get scared. Those students are getting scared there. The pedagogy is how I design the courses. They're not just listen to a video. There's a lot of interaction. Even though they're asynchronous, there's still a lot of interaction, and I'm using the best methods to make sure that there's some learning that goes on. And then affordable. If you wanted to hire me as a tutor for chemistry, I'd probably charge you $40 to $50 an hour. And I can get that. Okay, I've got a PhD and I've got tons of experience. These courses are going to be somewhere between $20 and $50 is the way I'm looking at it right now. So they're very affordable. And these courses are 10 one-hour sessions. So that's a lot of good material from experienced professionals. Well, here's where I'm at so far. Nerdy Prof has already got the site up and I've got some content there. I'm creating more. College Head Start it's in the work. It's probably 80% up. It's got the Excel free courses there, and I'm working on a Chemistry 1 paid course. The goal is to start this thing at the end of November, if I can get that done. And at that point, I'll begin marketing in true strength. Right now, I haven't done any marketing, zero marketing. I have YouTube content already, but that's going to be the thing that's going to start to drive a lot of this is YouTube and then the marketing. But until I get some product up, I don't want to do the marketing or create the YouTube. So that's where I'm at right now. I want to thank you for joining me today. Myself and my lovely friend Finn are ready for some questions.
All right.
Little long.
Awesome. Great job, Zaki. So yeah, as a reminder, go into the participants tab and hit the raise hand button when you have a question, and you'll just pop up in the queue. So Jolene, you're first.
Okay, I love your visuals. The whole presentation is just like so right on, and like it's attractive, it's engaging. Love it. Love, 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 love. I have actually 2 questions for you because I think, you know, we all have I'm assuming we all have some sort of experience with higher education. And I think it's interesting because I always saw college as trying to figure out actually what I was supposed to do. Like, I didn't know what I was going to major in. And I certainly dropped classes when I was like, okay, that is not for me, and it's never going to be for me. But I also think on the flip side, I think that I was scared of some of the courses that exactly what you're talking about. I loved chemistry in high school. I loved biology. I never stepped foot in those classes because I was like, I don't have it. And so I think it's interesting because I don't view it as dropping classes as a negative thing. I feel like it's figuring it out. But I also, on the flip side, if I would have had this, then it would have given me the confidence, everything that you're saying, the confidence to go ahead and do that. And then I also want to say, I love that it's 1 hour sessions. I'm taking some classes right now with dense information, and I feel like it's 2 hours, and I'm like, please, by the first half an hour, I'm like, I need to stop and try to retain this. And so I love that you're doing that. So like, that's my feedback. I love it. I love it. Love it. I want to take it. So if you need beta testers, I'd love to go back to chemistry.
Awesome. Well, I will let you know. That's a good idea. I should get some beta testers in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to add one little thing, the average student is changing their major 2.4 sometimes in their career. That's amazing. I changed mine 0 times. So if that's the case, somebody changed theirs a whole bunch more. So it's kind of a scary thought. You did twice.
Katie.
Cool. Oh man, Zucky, I'm so excited to like finally really kind of know what this is all about in more detail. And I guess I would ask you, why haven't you done any marketing yet? And the reason why I asked that question is that I have been learning that marketing and customer acquisition are harder than you think they are. They're not impossible, but it takes a very long time. And so I guess my question to you is, why aren't you doing any kind of marketing yet? Even if you're not marketing for a specific end result, but it's so that way you start to get a presence out there. That's my big question.
Yeah, and it's partly fear and partly issues with going at a speed that I want to go with creating some of my product. I'm in the midst of renovating my condo, so I have no quiet time. When I come here to the collective, I do get some of that. But when it comes to the education, I don't want to send people to the college head start yet,
right?
Because it's not even up. And telling people in the education domain, really, hey, guess what? I've got this thing that's going to be there. They're going to ignore that until it's there, because they're going to either look at it right then or forget about it. And just as being a professor, preemptive marketing to another college professor is not going to work unless they get to see my product. So until I get the product out there for that, yeah, it's going to be very quick. And I don't expect it to be a fast turnover. You're right. I expect this to be a year before I see anything looking like $1 coming in.
Yeah, I will interject a little bit there too, where there's a trust factor that is built too, because when, assuming that you don't want to market until you have a product, sometimes that's selling too soon, if you think about it that way, right? Where if you had marketing and creating content to build that trust, then you have a product later on once you have a loyal fan base. That could be an approach. But yeah, just wanted to add that in there as well. So Rahul.
Hey Eric, great presentation and great seeing you again. Yeah, I really like the product. My one question is that if the product is designed for students to take it before they start college courses, how is that process going to work for them to actually know about the product and get information to get essentially to get them in the pipeline before classes started? I know from my personal experience, I wasn't the best at figuring out what I needed to get before my classes started.
Yeah, that was the first thing that someone asked me when I came up with the idea about a year ago, and that is, how do you get them in there? And my main thing is, I'm going to have to do a lot of social media marketing towards parents, because parents are the ones who are going to say, hey, Billy or Mary or whoever, I need you to sit down, do this. It'll help you get ready for college and you'll do better. And I'm paying for it. Parents are the ones who are going to pay for it. They're going to want to see the success. And I also hope that a student might get in there and say, I just took that chemistry one, Mom, and it bored me to tears. I don't like this stuff. And maybe they don't take that class. maybe they don't like chemistry, and I save them that horror of doing it. So one way of doing it is also to go through, so that's one way of marketing is through the parents. The other one is going to be schools can send out, hey, do my free Excel course because we're going to want you to do that. And the Excel course will then also link to my other courses.
Okay.
So I'm hoping universities help me promote my stuff through the free things. And then finally, I'm going to try to hit up through counselors at high schools. My goal is that they can say, if you're going to be doing STEM, here's some things you can do to help yourself get ready. You know, so those are my 3 avenues. I'm sure that I'm off on those and I'm going to need some help at some point making a better pipeline. That's for sure.
Okay, cool.
I actually really like that approach to counselors because they're going to be closest to the student that knows their motivations, their obstacles and whatnot. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Tessa.
Hi, Eric. Yeah, so love the presentation. It made me really think about like how I loved how you connected like the visuals to your content and like made me feel like I was already like a part of I was in an education space and I was like, how do I apply that to mine? So thank you for that inspiration. And my question is, I can't recall very well the timeline, but it seems that you have a course that you're preparing now that you're going to have available for people to do, the chemistry one. Where are you getting your beta testers to ensure this is a product that people want to use or that it's doing what it is as interactive as people want it? It isn't just like something else that someone could get on Udemy or one of the other course lines.
Yeah, so on Udemy, you're not going to find here's what you need to know to be ready for chemistry course. You're going to find, let me help you with chemistry while you're taking it. And that's a slightly different point of view where I'll be hitting that stuff that's more of a prereq. And while you're taking the course, things that will make it so when you walk into the course, you're not going to be lost as they start to give you new information. So there's a slight difference there, but the beta testers are going to probably come from the universities where I've taught because those people all trust me. I've got Augusta University, University of North Florida, Seattle University, my old alma mater at Michigan State. I taught there for years. So I think that those places will be happy to send out and test it out for me. I have friends who've already said, yes, send me the link. I'll send that Excel course out. So I was involved with what's called the POGLE, Process-Oriented and Guided Inquiry Learning. That's a national network of a certain pedagogical model. They are interested in this as well because they always think that students come prepared. When they come prepared, they do better in class. So I'm hoping that that's going to be where I get a lot of my beta testers out.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Lots of good stuff. Adrian.
Hey, Eric, good stuff. So it sounds like you're focusing on specific subjects like chemistry. Is that right?
Yeah, I could personally create chemistry and physics and even astronomy, but I'll be getting other people involved with other things. I already have a friend who's a chef. He's going to create a how to cook in college course for when you leave your dorms and go into the things. He's going to teach all the knife techniques and stuff like that. So yeah, mainly chemistry right now because that's what I can do off the top of my head.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I totally agree with the way that you are trying to teach people. When I was doing my bachelor's and my PhD, I often had to get all the books beforehand and spend the summer reading them, and then I'd be ready for the class in the term. So I think having a diversity of educators is supremely important. But if you had to rank yourself or rate yourself, how would you compare Nerdy Prof to the Khan Academy?
Well, the Khan Academy is meant to create tutorials so that you can go find a specific answer to a specific question. So you might do in Khan Academy, I want to learn about chemical thermodynamics. So you'd go to their chemical thermodynamics and there'd be a lesson on that. What I'm going to be doing is saying, hey, before we even get to chemistry 1, you need to understand that here's how chemists think so that while you're taking the class, you will be able to understand why they're doing things the way they do it. Here's some background information, some algebra you need to know. Here's some physics you might need to know. These little things that you learned in physical science or your earlier geological sciences are applicable here. So remember these things because if you don't, you're going to be lost. And then finally, when you go into class, you're more likely going to see these things the first few weeks. And so let's touch on a few of them so they're fresh in your mind. So that's the goal, is to encompass those things. And I'm not really trying to compete with Khan Academy. However, my tutorials on my YouTube channel, they are kind of the same thing, only from my point of view as a professional chemist.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yash.
Hi, Eric. I just want to echo what Katie said. This is the time you have the least risk in terms of will people come? Just put up a landing page today. Doesn't take much. Just explain in a blurb what you're going to do and say, please put in an email address and I'll get back to you when it's ready. Something like that. Even if you get one a day, one a week, you won't feel disappointed. You won't be in a panic because the expectations are so low right now.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Sheila.
Hi, Eric. That was really interesting. Took me back to college a bit. I was just wondering about this idea of a minimum viable product where you actually put something together with all this big collection that you have and run it by people. I can just tell you that every time I've done that, I've really rearranged things a lot because of the way things land for people. Also, often, you know, there are too many ideas in there to be fully useful for my purpose. And so it's just like any way you could get your super useful content into the hands of any users bit by bit, it's going to help direct your mind to be just more customer oriented. So have you thought of a minimum viable product type idea?
Essentially my Excel product that I have almost ready to go. That's what it is. It's not fancy. It's just me recording the screen. It's not even a face, you know, nothing like that. And as time goes on and I learn more, I'm going to remake those videos in a more professional manner. But right now they're just done with me writing on my iPad or doing things with this computer that you're looking at where I'm recording the screen. So yeah, right now my first few products will be in that minimum vial, and I will the MVP, and I will be making that changes as I learn more, because yeah, as that's the one thing about learning that I got is my students, I had to be able to change the way I taught during my years, because I learned what they learned, what they didn't learn, where their misconceptions were, where mine were, because I had as an instructor misconceptions about what they were taking away from a particular sentence. So
Right.
this is going to be a learning process. There's no doubt about it. And I do appreciate, you're right. Everyone's saying the same thing. So it seems like I'm being too cautious, and I appreciate that. And please,
maybe,
everyone tell me more about that.
It's kind of too, and I don't mean too by anything judgmental, but you know, build it, they will come.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe like put a brick up and see what they say.
Cool.
Thank you.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm here with Steve Cass from South Florida, and as Steve said, we're investigating, looking into starting the same type of thing back in Broward County in Florida. I'm the dean of the business school at Nova Southeastern, and so I have a little experience in higher education. I just wanted to make two recommendations. One is you consider the high school counselor approach, so that if the guidance counselors in high school, as they send their students off to college, are aware of this, they might recommend it as something that they do that summer between high school and college. And the other thought is perhaps at your university, you could go over to the business school and get a marketing student to work for you as an intern and develop the social media campaign that you probably won't have the time to do. And that person also is probably much more in tune with the type of messaging that would be attractive to his or her classmates. So just two thoughts.
That's a great thought. I tell you what, I hadn't thought about that. In Seattle University, I've been talking to a couple of their business instructors about other things. So that's a great idea. I'm just going to look for an intern. I love it. Fantastic. Yay.
Sweet. We have a few minutes left. Katie already asked questions. I'm going to skip over you. Mark.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, Mark.
Question, what do you think from the idea of taking this from a service to a business with an exit potential, how do you look at the market, the total market value and what you might be able to capture relative to market share by scaling it? So big picture, say 5-10 years down the road.
You know, I haven't even thought about that, and I knew this question would pop up, the exit strategy. I don't know if this is something that I feel is going to be a product that someday someone's going to want to take over, or it may just be something that evolves over time as I do more work on it. And I'm actually conflicted on that. I don't know how I want to take it. So I don't have a good answer for you. And I think I'm going to have to see what it's like in the first year of actually having a product before I can come up with an idea of how much am I driving to make this thing perfect and a big product versus am I happy with quality and it doing some good. And I know that I need to work on that. And as my friend, I know that you're going to come back to me and ask me this question again in person in about 6 months. And I hope you do, because I better have a better answer than I have no idea right now. Because that's where
okay.
I truly don't know.
Perfect. Well, this is what this is for. So yeah, really shining some light on some blind spots and that we can start taking a look at. So in the interest of time, sorry, Katie and Tessa, we're gonna move on to the second presenter. Actually, before we do though, Eric, do you have, what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to share my screen real quick one more time to show you a slide. Everybody, I sometimes get paralysis from analysis. And what I'm gonna do on the next page is I'm gonna show you eight potential ideas for my logo. And what I want you to do is just tell me which one you like. And it's not that I'm gonna use these, I just wanna get an idea of what people think of when they think of Nerdy Prof. And do these ideas pop into your head? So 1 through 8, just if you could put it in the chat, I would really appreciate it. That's my ask of you today. So here we go. At least I think it's gonna go. It's not going, is it? There we go.
If I could fill in the silence, Saki, I'd just say like I chose 6, but it was because it's like that's like, and I didn't know why, and I was like, that's college lettering. Like the font is college lettering, and the glasses are like hip nowadays. Like that type of glasses coming back for young people now. And then I'm just like, oh, this is working. Anyway, just thought I'd fill in the silence there.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody. I do really appreciate this. I'm going to unshare the screen so that we can get back to the normally scheduled presentation. And thank you, everyone, for your great questions. I do appreciate the insights that you brought to me today. Yay.
Cool. We'll share with you the chat too, so you can track those votes. All right, so with our second presenter, we're gonna bring on Jay. Where is he on my screen? I don't know. Oh, there he is. Yep, there you are. And to tell us about the library's business services. So for other of you entrepreneurs, I've actually went to use it once, and it's been super cool as very informational. So yeah, Jay, tell us about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Victor. Thanks all for having me. My name is Jay Lyman. I'm a librarian with Seattle Public Library. Let me just share my screen so that we can, let's see, it says disabled screen sharing. Can you give me permission?
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. There we go. Okay, should be seeing my slides in a second here. Oh, I got to click share. There we go. Is that working?
Yep.
Okay, cool. My name is Jay Lyman. I'm a librarian with Seattle Public Library, and I want to share about some of the services and the tools that the library offers that can help you succeed in business. I'm going to take Eric's cue and I'm going to put on a timer so I'm on track as well. My role at the library is to support entrepreneurs in whatever that, whatever capacity or need that might be. I have been doing this for about 10 years, maybe a little bit more than 10 years. In that time, I kind of break down those ways that the library can help into some easy to remember categories, because librarians like to categorize things, right? I've got 3 categories for you today, but we're really not limited to 3. We actually can help in a lot of other different ways, but I just want to share 3 of those. The first way that the library can help you is that we answer questions. And so any question you might have, we can help you out. And you can do that in a lot of different ways. You can open up a chat window with somebody from the library. The best way here on the screen is that you can set up an appointment with myself or one of my colleagues who's trained in business research, and we can help you out that way. Lots of different, well, actually, just to kind of preface something that I know there's going to be questions about. I'm from the Seattle Public Library, but what about those other libraries that are nearby? King County Library System, Snow Isle, all these other folks that support businesses as well. And so I've got them up on the screen because libraries share and we work together. I can share more about that too, but I just want to highlight that I'm really speaking about libraries rather than Seattle Public Library in this presentation. So we answer questions. That's probably the easiest entry point. The second way, and the thing that often is most enticing for entrepreneurs, is that, let's face it, you've probably gone out there and done that search on Google, and you've said, I'm looking for the market size of this industry, and wow, there it is. And it's $4,000. So this is another way that the library can help. Like, of course, we think of books and print materials, and we still have them. We've even used some of those things if they're published often enough in this kind of research. But most of the stuff that the library purchases on your behalf is electronic. And so you can access those kinds of tools that you can get through the library with a library card and your PIN number electronically. So most of the stuff that I used when I help entrepreneurs is that kind of electronic data. The third thing that I want to highlight is that we offer skill building classes. So we're talking a little bit about marketing this morning, and I held back, but we are doing I am involved in some like ed tech things, and Eric, I want to talk with you later about some of the things that we're doing that might be helpful, and actually some other connections too. But we also offer classes on like just business 101, or if you're in a food business industry, we have workshops and things on the regulations that come into play there. Legal classes on trademark and patent. And right now we're actually piloting or have been doing since COVID, we're doing free legal consults for a half an hour with local attorneys from Amazon and Microsoft and Facebook and others who give back their time in a pro bono manner. And we're working with the UW Entrepreneur Law Clinic to make that happen. Those have been really cool and innovative and really amazing. Moving on from that, I just want to share about 3 kinds of information when we're talking about like those data sets. These are the kind of 3, or maybe there's 4 on the screen here, but 4 kinds of things that people ask me about. Information about other companies, information about your customer, especially if you're B2C, business to consumer, and then trends in the market. Those are the kind of the three big kind of categories of information. But then I've also got general guidebooks and startup guides and things like that, because that's another kind of category of information that people ask about. And we have tools like that that folks can use. Just to give some examples of what those, what kinds of tools we have. This one called Data Axle. This is a directory of companies. 60 million businesses are in this database. So it's huge, and we can query it locally, and so we can find out about our competition. What other pet stores are in Seattle? For consumer kinds of information, who's my customer, this database we have called Demographics Now is my favorite. And here we can really query on a localized basis, how much money do people spend on food away from home or on various different products. Yesterday I was helping a young man who's working on boiled peanuts, and so we were looking at consumer expenditures on nuts and things. Also psychographics, so lifestyle segmentation. This one comes with, or Demographics Now includes some of that kind of detail. That can be super powerful because we can really start to understand not just the demographics of who our customer might be, but also our, lifestyle kind of segmentation. And so here's this Urban Edge that we were just looking at some of the highlights from. They represent about 26% of Seattle, but they're only 2.92% statewide and 1.35%, nationally. So we've all been looking at lots of maps like this. So today, so this is probably, this is a really interesting tool and probably one of my favorite and most powerful tools. Just to kind of, for that third category, here's an example of a market trend. This is my dog. I love, Eric, that you had your dog in the presentation too, because I always try to put socks in my presentation. And also it's this data is a lot of fun that we spent $350 million on pet costumes. So this is a growing industry, or it was growing until last year, and now it's only just sort of grown a little bit less. And then the last slide here before I'll open it up for questions is this is just another example of some of my favorite reports that give us some of those industry trends, so we can get like the latest industry norms for the mobile foods industry or whatever that might be, whatever industry you're in. I know folks will ask about getting a library card, and so it's based on where you live, work, or go to school. And right now, it's easiest to get a card from your local library. So if you're in Seattle, that's Seattle. But if you're in other parts of King County, it's King County. And I just want to assure you that other areas have amazing tools just like us too. So with that, I'm gonna stop, and but I'm gonna share this last slide here, which is, you can forget everything I just said. Just ask us. We'll help you with your specific information needs, and we'll help guide you to what might be helpful for you. All right. Well, let me open it up. What questions do you have?
Love it. Yeah, we'll do the same thing here. So just raise your hand in the participants tab. So Jolene, go for it.
Okay, I love this so much. I don't know if you saw me wildly I have my library card because I was just on the library website yesterday. We love libraries and I have to say, we're so sad that you're closed. Like, we like to peruse. Like, that's the whole point of the library, is to peruse. Anyways, my question is I feel like you just told me there's all of this information, and I want to know trends, and I want to know kind of markets and that sort of thing, because I want to know where to target my Facebook marketing. I want to know where to target all of these things, but I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know how to drill things down. Is that something that you will help me identify how to best use these tools, or do I need to come to you and say, this is what I want to know?
Nope, you could just come to us and like we work. This is an awesome question. We work with folks at every stage of the process, right? From folks that maybe had the idea when they were on their way to the library, sometimes I think, to others who like have been working on this for 30 years. So it doesn't matter, and we'll help you figure out which pieces are most important to you. And I think that's the big value here is that you've got another human who's listening to what you're working on and will like help guide you to that information. So yeah, you don't have to worry about which ones to go to. We'll, I think about this as these as information journeys. We go on these little information journeys along with you, and each journey makes me and my colleagues stronger to help the next person on their journey too.
Okay, so I'm sorry, one more question. So I am part of the suburbs. I'm out in the burbs.
Yeah.
Can I go to you, or do I go and try to ask my little branch out here for this help?
Both. You can love it. You can come to us anytime. We're not required, like the tools are kind of tied to library card holders because those are we pay for them, so there's licensing that goes along with it. But the services and the programs and all of that is totally open. And I will say that some of our colleagues in those suburbs and further afield, I'm in touch with them, and they have amazing services and programs too. So I don't want to downplay like anything that they are offering, because they may have some amazing things for you to do too. So explore both. It's free.
Yeah, no, totally. I love it. Okay.
Love the excitement. Katie.
Yay, Jay, I'm so glad you're here, and it's so exciting, all the awesome stuff that you do. The question I have for you is, should we expect that your staff will like teach us how to use the tools, or can your staff actually like do some of the research for us, because we're not experts at like finding it? I'm just curious about that.
The answer is it depends. Like if you're, we're thinking about empowering you, right? And so if you are savvy and, like for instance, demographics now, like the best thing I can do for that isn't to go in and do that query on your behalf, but to show you how to do that, because you're going to want to do it over and over again. You don't want to have to rely on me and scheduling that every time you want to go back to it. That said, we do work with entrepreneurs who maybe aren't as technically savvy, and, thinking about, how do we empower them? We're making an assessment and saying like, what, I think the best thing here might be to just give them that, and we're going to teach them some pieces of it, but we'll give them what they need to get them going too, because we don't want to hold them back, on that part.
Perfect. Stephen.
Thank you, Jay. I very much enjoyed this. I think it's very, very worthwhile what you're doing. I've got a couple suggestions and thoughts from my perspective, and it's not necessarily your perspective. I was a lawyer in a major law firm for 35 plus years. I'm now teaching an entrepreneur law clinic where I'm teaching third-year law students to provide services to entrepreneurs. And I think two things you should focus on that maybe you don't have yet, or at least consider, is one, marketing to service providers, lawyers, accountants, or other people that provide services to entrepreneurs. Because at my law firm, we are very industry focused. And I firmly believe, based upon my learning over the years, that when you get a client or are looking at a client, you need to know everything you can about them and about the industry they're in. And by knowing that, you can much better tailor, understand what their issues are, aside from the legal, but what environment they work in. And I impress that upon my students. So that may be one area that you should consider marketing to as service providers. The second thing is I've seen with entrepreneurial clients over the last 3 years, I've been running the clinic, that many of them are not sophisticated as to what resources are out there. I mean, some such basic things. And I think if you could create a component of why as an entrepreneur, you should be plugging into this. Not necessarily, we can get you the demographics on this or the marketing statistics, but why they should even be coming to you, I think that'd be helpful. And last thing I believe it's wonderful at public library because you have the access to resources. We pay for some very expensive databases that most entrepreneurs would never have the ability to access. And you guys got them. You've got the licenses. So I think I really congratulate you on what you're trying to do.
Thank you. That's awesome. I love that idea of working more closely with those service providers in the for-profit world, because yeah, they're probably struggling with those same questions of how do we give this person access to some data and that kind of thing too. And they're working with folks that I'm trying to reach as well.
Love that. Zaki, you had a question.
I do. Hey, currently with COVID having you guys kind of shut down, are you still able to do any of your classes virtually or anything? Is anything going on virtually?
Yes, lots of things. So
I wasn't aware of that, so that's good to know.
Yeah, we transitioned really quickly into like all of our one-on-one appointments that we did. Well, I wouldn't say all, but almost all of our appointments we did prior to March 13th were in person at the library, because we would sit down next to somebody and work together on that market research and things. And so the week after that, we couldn't do that anymore, and yet the community needed us more than ever. Like this was, from my perspective, I looked at what was happening, and I started hearing from folks, and I said, this is the moment that we've been practicing for. Like the community needs us now more than ever. So we got some WebEx licenses, and we started just building it in an entrepreneurial fashion ourselves. And we started with the information appointments first, because we felt that was the greatest need, and it was, and still is really. But then we had already been doing lots and lots of in-person classes, so we transitioned those to virtual as well. And so we've done maybe about 100 classes since COVID for entrepreneurs. So I really wanted to kind of ramp up. And so that's, we're doing all kinds of different kinds of classes and workshops.
That's cool. Just a thing that I saw in Baltimore about 5 years ago was there was one, it's kind of like the collective here. There was a workspace that was being developed in Baltimore in one of the areas, and it was owned by some people, but some dude across the street who owned a pizza place wanted to have a how do you make a great pizza night. And so he started doing that. Then they had another guy who lived in the area who was a computer scientist, and he said, I want to teach code for people who've never coded before. And that kind of thing we don't see as much of anymore. I would love to have I'd love to see the libraries have like a geek mind talk or something where I could even do hey, want to ask questions about what quantum mechanics is? Ask. Or you want to talk about this type of political science? Ask. And just have these things which aren't, they're like you said, they're a learning journey for everyone. And there's no other place right now that has that. And maybe the library is a great spot.
I love that idea too. That definitely fits with the vision and the mission that I think the library has, which is, embracing the needs and the ideas of the community. If we kind of step back from what the library does and think beyond, checking out books, really it's reflecting the community. So if there's entrepreneurship happening in the community, we should be there. If there's questions that we're hearing about quantum mechanics, we should be there and kind of being that platform for learning, so yeah. And Eric, I'd love to talk to you about more in depth about some of the Startup Week in Education that we're doing this month, and some other things too that could be some cool synergies for work you're doing too.
You got it.
Yes. Coming up to 10, one last question to Tessa. Did you have one?
Yeah, and then it was a lot. So it was more along the lines of love libraries. Thank you so much for sharing, echoing Jolene's excitement. I really think I'm wondering how many people you actually are able to like you are servicing at the moment with these resources, like what your reach is. If that takes too long to answer, how do we get in contact with you directly? Is there like contact information where we can follow up with you with all these extensive questions that I don't want to take up people's time with?
Yeah, questions are what we do. So like, if we're happy to talk to you in, for as long as whatever questions you have, that we're here to help you with those. I'll put my contact information here in the chat, and I'm going to give you two email addresses. One is like myself and my amazing 10 colleagues who aren't here today, but they also do this work day in and day out. And so they're also like amazing. And then I'll give my personal it's like my work email as well, so you can connect with me on that respect too. In terms of kind of scale, I haven't run the numbers quite recently. Last year we did our one-on-one appointments. We were about 270 appointments that we facilitated in person for an hour. That was about how many we did. We'll exceed that this year, in part because of like what's going on, but I don't know by how much. Right, last time I checked, which was about a month or two ago, like we were pretty much right on track to about the same amount of number of people coming to see us. But that's just like the appointment service. In terms of the programming and things, I would say most of those programs were like 10 to 20 people are showing up at those. They can handle more. We can definitely bring on more folks into those. So it seems like there's capacity, and there's and same thing with those appointments too. Like we're not maxed out, so like we don't hold back. Come see us. You can see us over and over again too. So don't feel like you have to be shy.
Love it.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Cool. So now we are up at 10 here, and we're going to go into breakout rooms to connect even deeper and have more conversations. So you can ask all your burning questions there, or introduce yourself into what we're doing here. Is we had the presentations, we have the education now. So Jay is actually part of our community connections here to provide the education side of the 1 Million Cups meetings. And now we're getting into the connection side with the breakout room. So you'll get a pop-up on your screen, and definitely connect there. And afterwards, you're free to go about your day and continue on your journey. So we'll see you later. See you next week.